Good morning and welcome to the program Perspectives. Perspectives this morning on Invicta 98.9. This morning, we're going to take a peep into what happened recently, and this is about Professor Atahiru Jega, former INEC chairman. He had, come on the BBC House of Service to drop a bomb, and there's a bomb that's reverberating all over. Of course, there have been, lashbacks, so to say. But what was it that Professor Atahiru Jega said? He told the Nigerian people or the Nigerian public that they should not vote in the PDP or the APC in 2023 elections. Now, that's heavy, and that's a bombshell. But that came from a former chairman of the INEC in the Professor Goodluck Jonathan's administration. What could have left that? How did he come about that? His reasons was that the PDP and the APC are just one and the same. And so there are people that have disappointed the Nigerian public. And there are people that corruption was said to be, thriving on the Goodluck Jonathan. And of course the APC, with Muhammad Buhari had come to say that they were going to deal with the issues of corruption, insecurity, unemployment, bring back the glory of Nigeria. And but what we have today, Nigerians are groaning under the pains of insecurity, and they're also groaning under the pains of unemployment and scarcity, so to say, of food and high prices of food items in the market, and so many things coming up. And so Professor Atahiru Jega had been angry about all of that and saying that these are not people to bring back again, one and the same. Movement from PDP to APC or APC to PDP would just be about talking about the same people who would come in the same garb. And so it should not be voted for in the 2023 elections. Now that drew, the attention of the PDP, and they had replied, Professor Atahiru Jega saying that he was talking off point. For the APC, they said that the professor should do a lot of research into what the APC administration had done since taking over. But that's, is for the Nigerian public to judge today. So we're looking at it. Do not vote for the APC or PDP in 2023 elections, according to Professor Atahiru Jega. But what are Nigerians saying? And what are your points to raise on this issue? I have with me by phone this morning my guest who is Yusuf Goje. Yusuf Goje is a public affairs analyst, and together we'll be looking at that and how Professor Atahiru Jega could have arrived at this point to drop this bomb on the Nigerian citizen, and of course, as it affects, matters of governance and the administration in power today. Yusuf Goje, good morning and glad to have you on the show. Hello? 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 Having a little bit of challenge here, and we hope to get Yusuf Goje back on the line. He is my guest. Yusuf Goje is a public affairs analyst. He's a commentator on national and international matters, and my guest by phone this morning. Still trying to get him on. Yusuf Goje?
I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm sure Yusuf, you got a gist of my background there.
Yes, just a brief, but I get the whole idea, sir.
Yes, and so that Professor Atahiru Jega, who served as former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission under President Goodluck Jonathan, and let's talk about this democratic process that we're on now. 1999 till date. We've had PDP having its own shot, on matters of governance in the state, and now we're having the APC on its own, doing what it can do and how matters of governance should run for the Nigerian public. But again, Professor Atahiru Jega is saying that just do not vote for this either of the two parties. Neither one of them is good, according to them. They are the same people, whether movement from APC to PDP or PDP to APC that we're talking about the same people who had failed the Nigerian public. And so, your thoughts on this bombshell that was dropped by Professor Attahiru Jega?
Well, I don't really think it is a bombshell because the statistics in Nigeria tell us all the stories that we need to know about the present situation and how far both parties have brought us in terms of security, in terms of development. It is something that is already where people are feeling the hardship. People are dying every day as a result of insecurity. The value of the naira is dwindling almost every week and all that. So these are realities that Nigeria already know. The professor is not saying anything new. Yes, a lot of people would agree with him that both the PDP and the APC have not met the expectations of Nigerians. And many of us are also of the school of thought that you can hardly distinguish between the PDP and the APC. If you look at the makeup of who is in the PDP today, in the APC today, you find a large number of people that played very prominent roles during the PDP era. We are in Kaduna State. We know the role our governor, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, played in the PDP between 1999 and 2007 as the DG of the Bureau of Public Enterprise and also as the FCT minister. Even beyond being an FCT minister, he was directly involved in policies and reforms of the PDP government then. You also have people like the former governor Rotimi Amechi, who also has been in the PDP from 1999 to approximately when he left as governor to become a minister just before 2015. So it tells you that there is very little that distinguishes the two parties because ask any average Nigeria or even their party faithfuls, what is the ideology of the PDP? What is the ideology of the APC? It is very difficult for them to give you a comprehensive response. All they will tell you is slogans. Is fighting corruption, is economy, is security, or they will tell you is 7-point agenda. And these are just mere slogans that have no ideological backings. So that is why it is easy for these people to use these political parties as their wardrobe, where they come and change from one color of the political party to another overnight. And these are people that have criticized each other before jumping to where they have criticized. So these are issues that will tell you that the professor is not far from the truth, but also we also must also be conscious of the fact that it might just be oversimplifying what the real problem is. If you're creating a new political party, where are you getting the people from? Are you getting them from out of space? Or are they the same people within the same political system that we know? Because we have seen people from the academia that have entered into politics and have turned into something else. We have seen people that are even clergy that have gone into politics and have turned into something else. So it means that the fundamental question for me that he should have addressed is that of the failure of leadership. And that is our problem, not political party. Regardless of the political party that you bring, the people with the finances, the political structures are still the same people that are linked to these two parties. They will be the ones to jump ship and come to the new party when they lose out in the present political equations of the two parties.
Now, point blank. Now, what are the options? That the Nigerian, the citizens are left with now. We know that you said can't differentiate from the APC or the PDP what they really want, what they want to churn out to the Nigerian people. But what option is left? Now, talking about a situation where Nigerians have become discontented with the situation that we have now. And some Nigerians have resolved that they're not going to the polls, that the polls do not interest them because nothing has changed over 20 years now. And so, we have this lukewarm attitude to, going out to say that, people that we bring in may just bring the change that we want. So what option do we have, or what are we to see if we have to take a plunge into, any party now?
Like I have said, it is not necessarily about the political party. The thought force that would help us navigate through this danger and very terrible situations that we'll find ourselves as a result of bad leadership over time is only when the citizens themselves realize that democracy is about participation. Democracy is not about armchair criticism. You don't sit in the comfort of your room and criticize government and you think that things will change. It has not happened anywhere in the world, and I am sure it will not happen in Nigeria. So it is only a situation where the average Nigerian citizen is politically aware and politically conscious to take decisions and follow up with those decisions to see that whatever it is his aspiration is, whoever he elected into power would achieve that. I'll give an instance from just the 2019 general election. Out of about 82 million registered voters, only 82 million registered voters, only 27 million actually voted during that election, which is just 33% of the total registered voters in Nigeria. You also have a situation where out of that 27 million people that voted, 15 million people voted for the current president. And if you put that 15 million out of the 82 million, that is just about roughly 18% of the registered voter that voted the current president into power, which is the minority. Because 18%, you can't compare it with 82%. So it means that in the first place, Nigerians are not even coming out to exercise their rights to who votes them. So on that part, you are already set up for whatever you see, that is what you would get. Then secondly, how many Nigerians are conscious of the governance process, even haven't elected that person into power? Because history has shown that you can elect a good person into power, but if you fail to hold that person accountable, the likelihood that that person would be corrupted will be high, because absolute power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So it means that the only way to check the power of the person in office is to hold that person accountable. And if we are not doing that, we are not going out to elect, we are not holding our leaders accountable, then what miracle are we expecting that would happen? Because it will continue to be a government of the minority for the minority, because only few people voted and only few people are allowed to take decisions at all levels of the country. So the solution is very simple. The solution is in the hands of every Nigerian. I will give an instance. When you see people argue of which party is in power and which one is performing or not, all of them are not performing to expectation as of today. Today we have a situation where people are being killed, where people are being kidnapped, where food inflation is out of this world, where our money is deteriorating, where we are about 90 out of 107 in the global hunger index. If you look at all the statistics, human capital development, we are not doing good. And it is easy to blame the party in power, because our loan presently, our debt profile is approaching 40 trillion naira. But that aside, what is the opposition party presently doing? Are we only seeing them sensationalizing what this government is doing, their actions or inactions, or are they providing us an alternative ideological solution to what is happening. We don't see our opposition party, and there's nowhere in the world that the opposition party does not play a critical role in the governance process of that country or society. Is it only when it is election time that opposition parties will come out and be telling us vote for you? Vote for you on what basis? That over 4 years you have not done anything constructively to ensure that you hold the present government accountable to the people of Nigeria, and only when it is election time and you come and you tell us about religion, tribe and ethnicity and all the other things that politicians use to mobilize people. So we need to ask the critical question that it is a failure of leadership on all parts. It's devoid of whether you're PDP or APC, because as far as interest is concerned, these people will continue to cross carpet to go where their interests will be protected. But the average Nigerian, poverty, hunger, insecurity, unemployment should be factors that should unite us together to say from now henceforth, regardless of which party the person comes from, we would scrutinize the person, look at his capacity. We would not fall victim of political propaganda where they make up a candidate to look as if the candidate is capable, competent, and has the capacity to deliver. Only when power is trusted on that person, and we see that probably the person is also lost in what is happening. So it means that political parties will continue to emerge. What Professor Jeka said, well, I wish him good. Maybe he's doing mobilization for his PRP, but the reality is that the people that he is calling them to come and join the new party, where would they be coming from? Because our political structure is designed in such a way that people only see it as a means to getting their own share of the national cake, not as a means to come and deliver on the kind of public services that will improve our security, that will improve the welfare of the average Nigerian. So it means that if we continue to rely on the present system, because it is evident that representative democracy is failing. So we need to go back to participatory democracy, where the average Nigerian will begin to ask questions about every kobo that is being spent by those in power. Our problem is not PDP or APC. Our problem is that we don't have leaders that have the foresight, medium to long time, even to short time, to address the poverty challenge, to address the challenges around human capital development, to address the insecurity challenge. Because what we see is that rather than confront the real issues that affect us, we see that these parties only resort to insulting each other, condemning each other. For the most part of this present APC government, they have spent it criticizing and comparing what they have done with the PDP. That is not why we voted them. We have already known that PDP did not deliver what Nigerians expected as of then. You have been brought to power now. Leave what PDP did not do or the damage that they did not do, that they did in the past. Focus on solving it and let us measure you based on what you are doing and what you are bringing to the table, not always referring us to what has been in the past. We have learned our lessons from the past. We need to move on. We need to begin to compare our progress with countries like Ghana. Ghana here spends about 20% of its budget on education. How much are we spending on education in Nigeria? We hardly, I don't think we've even reached 10% of that. So these are countries we should be comparing ourselves with. Yes, the president has made a proclamation that will increase our educational budget by 50% and all that. But what I am saying is that we need to compare ourselves with countries that have gone ahead of us, not looking at our past, comparing and showing us as if it is the PDP that is our problem. The PDP is not our problem. The same people that are in the PDP before, a lot of them are today in the APC. So if the people in APC say PDP is the problem, then because they have admitted those people that were part of the failures of the PDP, it means they have also failed. So these are issues that I think Professor Jegai should go beyond just telling us to vote out PDP and APC. The question is, what is PRP bringing? that is different from what APC and PDP are doing. If he is not able to convince us that there's a difference, then I think he's just drumming support for 2023. Probably there's one political calculation being played out. But the real issues are the issues that affect the ordinary man. People are dying of hunger. People cannot access basic realities. Nigeria spent about 56% of their income on basic necessities, which is the highest in the world. It means what that means is that government is not providing a lot of incentives. I have seen other researches that have said that out of pocket, 80% of out of pocket expenditure of many households is going to getting healthcare services. So when you hear those kind of statistics, what is happening to free healthcare interventions that we are having? What is happening to budgetary allocations that is targeted at ensuring that healthcare services is accessible, it's affordable, and it's available to anybody that wants them? These are the critical questions that worry Nigeria. I saw something recently that I don't know, it broke my heart. A very depressed man, a weeping wife, and an almost half-dead baby walking on the street begging for money because they need to pay bills for their daughter. In a country that we have leaders that have sworn to an oath to ensure that they would meet the welfare needs of the people, and we sit down and we are discussing PDP, APC, these names of parties will change. But what we want to see is that we want to see leaders that will commit to ensuring that all the challenges that are bedeviling us are not viewed from the angle of politics, but they are built on the foundation of providing humanitarian service and other passionate interventions or compassionate interventions that will pull the almost 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. And these are the topics that I think our political parties should be discussing, and not telling us not to vote one party or the other. That is not our problem as it is now in Nigeria.
Okay, Yusuf Goje, yes, we'll have to go for a commercial break. I'll be back with you at the turn of the break. Welcome back. It's the program Perspectives this morning, and we're looking at Professor Atairu Jega and his submission at an interview with the House of Service of the BBC. He had called for Nigerians not to, in any way, vote for the PDP or the APC. He had come to say that they are one and the same. And so we're looking at this with my guest this morning by phone, Yusuf Goje. Yusuf Goje?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. What is it, again, that Nigerians want to hear from the PDP or the APC? Because, again, we're getting to a point where we say that they failed the citizens, so to say. Promises were made and they're not kept. And, of course, we see what we're seeing today, that insecurity could just be a big problem, or overwhelming as it is today. Unemployment is there, showing its ugly face, and Nigerians, not having the means, to go to the markets, or when we can go to the markets, the prices are so high there. And so we're just wondering, what is it that they can tell Nigerians come 2023 about why you have to vote them in, or why, you have to take them out. So I'm going back to what happened in 2019, and just talking about the third force that you have mentioned. That didn't work. And of course, individuals are there in Nigeria. We have so many of them cutting across the regions and the states where you have, the best of them that can, take Nigeria out of the woods. But are they being allowed to do that, and are we giving them a chance to do that? And with these big parties who can swallow or muscle out any party coming in, so what are the chances? What should we be looking for? What are the Nigerian people looking for, and what they want, for people that they think can take them out of the woods?
All right. I think what the two parties would say have already been said. And there's nothing new they will tell us that we have not experienced. And if you look at it memory lane, I took out time to read the inaugural speech of all our prime minister, heads of states and presidents from 1960 till date. And you will find out that it is the same issues that have been recycled for over 60 years of our independence. So all that needs to be said has been said. What we need is the leaders that have the country at heart to implement what has been said and what has been captured on paper. Since the turn of democracy in 1999, the World Bank, DFID, and other international development partners have supported our governments to carry out reforms, bring in programs, and bring in policies, laws, and what have you. But the critical question is that the political will and commitment to implement what has been as reform policy programs is not there. So I don't think they have anything new to tell us that we have not heard before. All we need is the person or the group of individuals that would implement what is on paper as it should be implemented. Then secondly, on the issue of the third force I referred to is not a group of people that will bring themselves, a few people that will bring themselves together and still recycle what we already know in another different language. You find out that people from academia, with all respect with them, they've come up with beautiful ideas. Is practicability is a problem, because I'm making reference to the caliber of people that organized the other third force. I think that was led by, also, if you look at it, President Obasanjo then. So what the third force I'm talking about is we, the Nigerian people, the electorates, understanding that beyond just going for elections and criticizing government, we also have civic responsibilities, obligations, and roles to play. Our democracy is largely standing on one leg, which is the leg of the elites. The larger population, who sovereignty belongs to, who the Constitution has empowered to participate, to ask questions, to hold the government accountable, to remove any government that is not participating or is not performing to their expectation, is the other leg that we need to repair now and fix it for our democracy to stand and function effectively. If not, you continue to recruit a few people out of the majority, and they enter the cycles of power, and when they see the privileges, when they see the resources at their disposal, they forget all the English and all the talk that they did to encourage people to support them, to get them there. People come up with so many ideas just to get to power in order to also get their own share of the national cake. There are people that have entitlement mentality that feel that they should be the one ruling this country. I'm not talking of those kind of people. I'm talking about the average Nigerian that will ask question how the 2021 federal budget is being implemented, how the 2021 state budget is being implemented, how the 2021 local government budget is presently being implemented. By asking those questions, we would solve a lot of problems. One, around corruption. It means that once we're asking questions, all the secrecy that enables corruption would be exposed. So it means that if somebody is giving 100 naira to carry out a contract, and people within that community find their way to get the details, the bill of quantity of that contract, and ensure that if it's 9-inch block that should be used, it is 9-inch block. And when they see that a 6-inch block is being used, they should take community action to ensure that they hold the government accountable and ensure that it is 9-inch. And in between that 6 and 9-inch, that is where monies are stolen. So by blowing the whistle in between, when you see that happening, it means you have fought corruption and stopped corruption happening in your community. I have read documents that have said that majority of funds being stolen in public service is being done through contracts. If Nigerians alone can become more conscious about contracts being carried around in their community, because it is your right. The budget is a citizen's document. It is not for the governor, it is not for the president, it is not for the commissioners or the members of the houses of assembly. It is the needs of the citizens that the budget is supposed to cater for. So nobody should come and threaten you because you're asking questions about how projects that should add value to your life and that of your family you ask questions about how it is being executed. And that is the third force I'm talking about. The third force that would, during election, would not subscribe to ethnic, religious, or regional bias as the basis for electing somebody into power, but will look at the antecedents of the person, analyze both his emotional, mental, and intellectual capacity to deliver on whatever it is he is telling you he wants to do. And all other things that you need to put in place to ensure that only the best are elected, regardless of the political party that that person is flying. And that is the third force I am talking about. But as long as we will continue to say that another new political party, where are these corrupt leaders coming out from? They are still coming out from the followers. Because this set of leaders will do and go. By 2023, this present government will go. Another new set of people from the followers, a few of them will still be recruited into the system, and you end up seeing that there's no much difference from the previous government. And history has also shown, if you observe, that we have criticized every incumbent government, and we have always compared it with the previous one, and always suggested that the previous one is better than the present one. So the likelihood that even after this present government leaves, that the next government will come, will still criticize them, will still look back and say that this government now that we are complaining about is better. And why we do that is because we are not actively and meaningfully participating and engaging and demanding that monies meant to provide human capital development are being utilized in the right way, because everybody is after our collective national resources.
Can we see the third force before 2023? Can we see the third force in operation before 2023?
There's nothing that is impossible. We can find people that can begin to mobilize, because I'm not talking of an elitist third force. I'm talking of a grassrooted third force where we begin to see people more politically educated, more politically conscious, to ensure that they make the right choices. Because whether we like it or not, even if elections are rigged, our nonchalant attitude creates the enabling environment for that rigging to happen. So when people say that whether we vote or not, it will be rigged, that is the number one reason why the rigging is happening, because already we are becoming nonchalant about the process. So it is about getting that few people that will go back to engage in grassroots mobilization, engage these people, educate them politically, organize them in a way that any candidate that is coming to say, I want to contest for any position is at the end of the day drilled to the level that he will not just come and tell you he will provide water, he will provide electricity, he will provide this and that, and he doesn't have the strategy to implement it. Because one thing you find out is that in 2019, I saw a lot of new faces come to say they want to be president of Nigeria. They spoke very good English with Queen's English and all of that. But what they fail to understand is that beyond your idea, how would you handle the vested interests that are presently enjoying the status quo as it is, that are making money out of the status quo, that will not sit back and look at you, come with your Queen's or Harvard ideas and displace them from what they are enjoying? How do you handle those category of people? These are strategies that people need to come and tell us, so that we know that, because once you are the president, it's not about you as a person or your idea. Who are the people that would encircle you? Who are the people that would advise you? For example, there are leaders that their chief of staff and their security officer determines whether they go out that day, determines the newspaper they read, determines the document that comes to their table, determines who comes to visit them. So they practically don't know anything outside what those around them allowed to reach to them. So a lot of them will tell you that Nigeria is progressing, and they don't. It's because they don't know, because they are not faced with the realities, and most of them don't leave their aids aside and go to communities and engage and hear from the people directly, what is your problem? But as far as their aids are concerned, they will come and tell you, Oga, you're doing well. People are responding well to what we are doing. Anytime the Oga is going out, they will go and mobilize people, give them money, they will come and be hailing the Oga. The Oga will now go back naively to his seat, thinking that he is performing, while people are suffering, people are dying, and a lot of these challenges. So it is just for us, everybody, the media, the civil society, religious leaders, and every other person that has capacity for ensuring that we give political education, that we mobilize people to do the right thing in the right way. It is a responsibility upon our shoulders to ensure that by 2023, we don't fall victims to mere propaganda or slogan throwing mantras that will end up deceiving us, and we give our votes, and at the end of the day, we see something differently.
Okay.
But again,
Yusuf, let me just quickly take this out to the audience there too. Let's get your thoughts on what you're saying, and of course, we're giving vent to all that's been said. And so, this conversation, be part of it on 081 40,000 989, 081 40,000 989, or 070 87 800 989, 070 87 800 989. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Toyalavi.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to Invicta family. My name is Musa Bala. Welcome. I greet your guest.
All right, Musa Bala.
I like his last statement. That is by saying that it is a responsibility of everybody, civil organizations, religious leaders, community leaders, to ensure that we educate the public not to go on electing those that can only talk, or let us elect the good leaders. That is the surest way to go if we do that sincerely from the bottom of our heart. The good leaders are not measured by their religion. Good leaders are not measured by their tribe or where they come from, that is their region or their state. Good leaders are good leaders, we know them. And under no circumstances, we should mislead the public by discrediting a good leader by using his tribe or his religion simply because other people have no opportunity to be in power. As for Jega, honestly speaking, Jega, as far as I'm concerned, he has made mistake by comparing APC and PDP. For me, APC is not really what our expectation it is in Nigeria. We need something better. But under no circumstances should anybody compare APC with PDP. They are too different. They are too apart. I ask one simple question. Can anybody in Nigeria tell me only one project that a PDP plan executed and handed over to the people and they are using it now that will justify their 16 years in power anywhere, whether local government or state government or anywhere in the federation? Just like the one that Babangida in 9 years constructed the longest bridge in Africa, that is the Third Mainland Bridge. APC now is building second Niger Bridge. APC is making a lot of progress in many areas, so they cannot be compared with PDP. Okay. They are two different entities.
All right,
thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll stay with your calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Toyi.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. My name is Mr. Fresh.
Mr. Fresh.
Thank you. Yeah. I love the analysis of your guest, and really I appreciate him. But you see, the issue that I've always said is this. Jega is one of the problems of Nigeria. It's one of the problems we are facing today in Nigeria. I wonder why people will prepare their position, fame, and money for the masses. Because I believe that he knows the truth. He was supposed to do what is right. But he never did what is right. Come to the person that
he never did. He never did. How? Why? How?
Okay, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Because if whoever becomes INEC chairman is not ready to serve the people and not the interests of some few individuals, then that becomes a problem.
He serves the interest of some people?
Yes.
Okay.
Those who think they own the country in their hands because they dictate simply because they have privilege of occupying some certain position, thereby depriving the masses, the majority, the right of good leadership. We know that before the coming of this government, there are things that we were enjoying. Take, for instance, the rate of dollar. How much dollar was that time? How much was bag of rice? People were eating rice, chickens, and other things. People were living well. Now, what about insecurity? Today, people can no longer sleep with their two eyes. Even if you have a visitor coming, knock at your door, you will be afraid because you don't know who could be at your door. You will be so afraid to the extent that you will try to hide first. Hide your family before you come out to know who is there. And when you open the door and see the person, you say, oh, now you, welcome, enter, before you call the rest of your family members. So the thing is so bad. Look at the way students are being kidnapped, both children and adults. Okay. Look at our schools. Take for instance in Kaduna, majority of schools have been closed because of what? Insecurity.
Okay,
and
Mr.
I used
Fresh.
to say this, in the next 10, 15 years, if care is not taken, if things continue this way, we will only have a bunch of illiterates in this country
Okay,
who
Mr.
do
Fresh.
not have privilege to go to school.
All right,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Fresh.
Mr. Toyi.
Okay, we'll take one more and then come back to our guest. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Tony Alavi.
Good morning.
Morning, I'm Job International.
Job International.
Happy to hear you this morning. My own take about this issue. Jega said a good message, but from a wrong person. Because he was the 90% given to what is happening, given back to what is happening to this country now. So he lacked moral standard to say anything about what is happening in this country or advising Nigerians. He has the opportunity to make it right, but he has chosen to make it wrong. So he should not talk that. But another way is very suicidal for somebody to compare PDP and APC. The truth of the matter is that during the time of PDP, PDP created works. From EFCC was created under PDP. ICPC was created under PDP. Many universities were built under PDP. Al-Maziri School was built under PDP. And when Obasanjo came, the PDP in Nigeria has stayed over all the countries. But Obasanjo wiped it and started afresh. And in the 16 years of PDP, they left the debts of this country 9.6 trillion. But APC in 6 years, they have taken a loan of 36 trillion. What have they done to compare? Come to the hardship of people in the country. No food to eat. You cannot go to farm. You cannot go to school. You cannot go to work. Demolishing people's houses. School fees increasing. The doctors strike. ASU strike. Everything is damaged under APC. So it's a very big offense for anybody to compare APC, because PDP people bought food very cheap. PDP people go to school at their will.
Okay.
And they do everything.
Right.
Now they have come to murder our freedom of speech. No freedom of speech, no justice,
Okay.
no fairness at the APC. Thank you and God bless
Thank you. Well, Yusuf Goje, if you could just sum it all for us, what the three callers had said, Musa Bala, Mr. Fresh, and Job International, and of course, give us your last line there too. Hello, Musa Bala, Yusuf Goje.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, okay, yes. You had the you had the callers, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you just on that,
Yeah.
and of course your last line too.
All right, I just want to say that this is something that will be debated. It's not something that will end. So everybody would have an opinion of it. But the reality is this: when you compare PDP and APC, everybody who has what to tell you that the party has, his or her party has performed. But there is one thing we must put in mind, is this: because you have built schools, because you have built roads, because you have built hospitals, the question to ask, so what? Because these roads, these schools, whatever it is you are building, it is not an end in themselves. It is a means to an end. So if PDP say we have done this, we have done that, APC said we have done this, we have done that, the real question is, as a result of doing that, have you reduced the rate of maternal mortality rate? Have you reduced the poverty rate? Have you reduced the illiteracy rate? These are issues that these parties should be talking about, not telling us that we have built that, we have built that. We have insecurity reduced. If all these answers are in the negative, then it means that all of them have not met the minimal requirements and standards that Nigerians expect. Because what the average Nigerian expects is to have access, availability, and affordability of health care, is to have quality education, is to have a minimal living standard that every human of dignity should have, that should be able to be secured to go to his farm, carry out his economic activities, and feed his family, and even live the life of his dream. And as long as all these parties cannot answer this question, although the statistics have already done giving us the answer we need, then I think we need to look higher, and we need to look at what are our alternatives to ensuring that we meet the real expectations of Nigerians. But as for political parties, politicians will always tell you about projects. A project that has not translated to improving the living standards of Nigerians is waste of, there is no value for money. So these are the issues we must focus on and ensure that as we go to 2023, as we have people like Jega coming to tell us not to vote APC and PDP, we want to see what are their plans, not just to construct roads, not just to construct railways, but how those roads, railways, and healthcare will translate into improving the living standard of average Nigerians. People are suffering. People are suffering, I repeat. So we need to address that. And all this PDP, APC is the least of our problems presently. What we need is the emergence of visionary, sincere-hearted leaders that will implement what they committed during their campaigns and ensure that they pull Nigerians out of poverty and they bring back the pride of place in Nigeria to Nigeria in the global scheme of things.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank you so very much, Yusuf Goje, for coming on the program. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And that would just be about the size of it on the program Perspectives. We're looking at Professor Attahiru Jega and what it dropped on the Nigerian people that do not vote for the PDP or the APC. They're one and the same. Again, this your thought. Your thoughts can come in here too, and your opinions can be made. Yusuf Goje has been our guest by telephone. He is a public affairs analyst and a commentator on national and international matters. We'll come back with Perspectives tomorrow. I'd like to thank my colleague Joy for connecting me with the people and Wisdom for putting us in the pictures. Good morning.